So I will start my class today, and I will start with the regulation of gene expression. And with this, I will start sharing my screen. So I hope my screen is visible. Is
Yes,
the
sir.
screen okay? So gene regulation, gene expression takes place at the following gene expression. What do you mean by gene expression actually? A gene which is being expressed. It can be at the level of transcription, translation, post-transcription, post-translation. So there are the levels at which gene expression is regulated in prokaryotes. The first is transcription. So in
Sir,
transcription, yeah, question.
sir, your voice is not coming.
I'll check. Hello.
Yes, sir.
The voice is coming though. So it must be should be a
Hi,
problem.
Prashant.
Uh, it's a problem in your network end, I would say. So okay. So the following it takes place in the following. So first thing is that regulation takes place at the level of transcription, where DNA is transcribed into an RNA transcript. Then this RNA is processed. That is a second level. That is the second level of regulation, where your RNA, you have splicing and other processing which takes place on the RNA. Then the final messenger RNA is produced. And then comes the question of RNA stability. If the RNA is stable or not. If the RNA is stable or not. There comes the question. The next question is, next level of regulation takes place at the level of translation. And then at the level of post-translation. So there are 5 levels of uh, regulation which takes place. So these are the 5 levels of regulation which we are used to seeing at the level of DNA, RNA, messenger RNA stability, translation, and post-translation. Then finally, you have the final protein which is formed, the final product of gene expression, the functional protein. So the 5 levels of where gene expression is regulated, they are at the level of transcription, RNA processing, RNA stability, translation, and post translation. So at these level, you have gene expression is regulated. So you must study all these 5 levels. The regulation which have the largest effect on gene expression is at the level of transcription. This has got the largest effect, although the other effects are also there, but the maximum type of regulation happens at the level of transcription. So the transcription regulatory mechanisms are essentially 2 types. The first is mechanisms that involve rapid turn on and off of gene in response to environmental changes. So if the temperature rises, that is an environmental change, suddenly you have heat stress genes being expressed. So this is the first mechanism. Or when the heat is removed, these heat stress genes, they are turned off. The first mechanism. The second mechanism is referred to as pre-programmed circuits or cascades of gene expression. That is the expression which takes place during development. At a particular developmental stage, you find a certain series of genes being expressed. And that is the second mechanism of gene regulation. Now we have to understand what is another factor, that is constitutive gene expression. Certain products like tRNA molecules, ribosomal RNA molecules, uh, ribosomal proteins, RNA polymerase subunits, some enzymes which catalyze metabolic processes like your GAPDH, your actin, cytoskeleton are frequently they are called as housekeeping genes, or they have housekeeping function. What is the function of a housekeeper? A housekeeper may keeps your house in a tip-top fashion, cleaning, dusting, organizing things day to day, daily. So it is always the housekeeping function is needed. So these are the genes which are required everyday purpose to maintain and develop the cell. So these are always on. These genes are continuously being expressed in most cells, in most of the cells. They are said to be constitutively expressed, and they are known as constitutive genes. The second thing which you have is the inducible gene expression. This is the process of turning on the expression of genes in response to environmental condition or to a substance in the environment. And this is known as induction. Say, for example, these genes are turned in response to some changes in the environment, say heat stress, oxidative stress. And so these are known as inducible genes. Their products, if enzymes, are known as inducible enzymes. Enzymes that are involved in catabolic pathways such as lactose, galactose, or arabinose utilization are characteristically inducible. Then we have the term repressible gene expression. What is repressible gene expression? A gene whose expression has been turned off by environmental condition or a substance in the environment is said to be repressed. So when there is no lactose, when there is no lactose in the medium, then the genes processing for lactose, metabolizing lactose, they are turned off, repressed. So when the expression of this gene is turned on, it is said to be de-repressed. Enzymes that are components of anabolic biosynthetic pathways are often repressible. Repression, like induction, it's the opposite of induction, occurs also at the level of transcription. So the next thing is, what is positive and negative control of gene expression? The regulation of gene expression or induction or turning off genes, and repression, that is turning off genes, can be accomplished by positive control mechanisms and negative control mechanisms. So there are two mechanisms which control gene expression. One is positive control, the other is negative control mechanisms. Both of them have the utility of regulated genes. What are regulated genes? Genes that encode products that regulate the expression of other genes. So regulated genes encode products or may have have products which regulate expression of other genes. So in the positive control mechanisms, the product of the regulated gene is required to turn on the expression of one or more structural genes. So product of the regulated gene, what it does is it turns on the expression of one or more important structural genes. Whereas in negative control mechanism, the product of the regulated gene, it shuts the expression of the structural genes or the of other genes. It shuts off the expression. In positive regulatory mechanism, it turns on the expression, the product turns on the expression, and in the negative control mechanism, it turns off. So this is keep this concept very clear in your mind. Okay. A gene is expressed when RNA polymerase binds to its promoter and synthesizes an RNA transcript that contains the coding region of the gene. Every gene has got a coding region, and it happens that every gene also has got it's a promoter attached in the DNA. And on that promoter, there is a site on which the RNA polymerase binds. And once the RNA polymerase binds over there, transcription starts to take place and RNA transcript is produced. And this transcript contains the coding region of the gene. And the product of the regulated gene, it could be either positive or negative. It switches on or switches off, acts by binding to a site known as the regulator protein binding site, which is adjacent to the promoter of the structural gene. So how does the regulator work? It binds to a site adjacent to the promoter of the structural gene. So when this product of the regulator gene binds to the regulator product protein binding site, transcription of the structural gene is either turned on in a positive control system or turned off in a negative control system. So when the regulator binds to the region adjacent to the promoter of the structural gene, then it either turns on the transcription or turns off the transcription. When it turns on, it's a positive control. When it turns off, it is a negative control. Regulatory gene products, they are either called activators because they activate gene expression in positive control systems, or they are known as repressor because they repress gene expression in negative control systems. So just positive control system and negative control system, they are opposite to each other. Whether or not a regulatory protein can bind to the RPBS or the regulatory protein binding site depends on the presence or absence of effector molecules in the cells. So if the effector is a molecule, the presence or absence of which influences the regulator protein to bind to RPBS or not. If there is an effector, then the effector can either prevent the binding of the regulator molecule, or it will uh, uh, stimulate. So what are these effectors? They are small molecules such as amino acids, sugars, and similar metabolites. The effector molecule involved in the induction of gene expression are known as inducers. The regulator gene products are activators and repressors. Here they are known as inducers, and those involved in the repressor are known as co-repressors. The effector molecule, whether they are inducers and co-repressors, they bind to regulator gene products. Who are the regulator gene products? What are the effector molecule? Whether they are the inducers or co-repressors, they bind to regulator gene products. Who are the regulator gene products? The activators and repressors. And this binding causes a change in the 3D structure of these proteins. Which proteins? Activator and repressors. Conformational changes in protein results from the binding of these small molecules. These conformational changes, they are known as allosteric transitions. Conformational changes in proteins frequently result in alteration in their activity. Their activity changes. In the case of activators and repressors, allosteric transitions caused by binding of effector molecule alter their ability to bind to regulator protein binding sites adjacent to promoter of the structural genes they control. So in a negative inducible control mechanism, free repressor binds to the RPBS and prevents the transcription of the structural gene in the absence of inducers. You will understand this more clearly when I start the lactose operon. When inducer is present, it is bound by the repressor, and the repressor inducer complex cannot bind to the RPBS. When no repressor is bound to the RPBS, RNA polymerase freely binds to the promoter and it transcribes the structural genes. In positive inducible control mechanism, it is just the opposite. The activator cannot bind to the RPBS until the inducer is present. And RNA polymerase cannot transcribe the structural gene unless the activator inducer complex is bound to the RPBS. Just the other way around. The transcription of the structural genes is turned on only in the presence of inducer. So, in a negative repressible regulatory mechanism of structural genes occur in the absence of co-repressor, but not in its presence. When the repressor co-repressor complex is bound to the RPBS, it prevents RNA polymerase from transcribing the structural genes. And of course, in the absence of co-repressor, the free repressor cannot bind to the RPBS. Thus, RNA polymerase can bind to the promoter and transcribe the structural genes. In a positive repressible control mechanism, the product of the regulator gene, which is the activator, it must bind to the RPBS in order for the RNA polymerase to bind to the promoter and transcribe the structural genes. It stimulates the binding. When co-repressor is present, it forms a complex with the activator protein, and this activator co-repressor complex is unable to bind to the RPBS consequently. RNA polymerase cannot bind to the promoter and therefore transcribe the structural genes. Now with this we come to what are operons. So operons in prokaryotic systems, they are genes with related function. They are present in coordinatedly regulated units known as operons. In genetics, an operon is a functioning unit of genomic DNA containing a cluster of genes under the control of a single promoter. So you have several structural genes, 1, 2, 3, all present. Before that, you have a promoter. All the genes of this of the structural genes, all the structural genes are under the control of one promoter, and that is what you mean by a operon. You also have a also have a sequence known as operator. An operator is a segment of DNA to which a transcription factor binds to regulate gene expression. A transcription factor, a factor which causes transcription, it binds to regulate gene expression. The transcription factor, if it is a repressor, which can bind to the operator to prevent transcription. So if the transcription factor is a repressor, it binds to the operator and transcription is prevented. The main operator O2 is the classically defined lac operon located slightly downstream of the promoter. So this is the promoter. Below the promoter, you have the operator site. This is the operator and this is the promoter. Slightly below that, you have this particular thing present. And then following that is the structural gene. Then you have a regulator gene present, whose product, if it is a repressor, binds to this particular operator, and once it binds to the operator, there is a blockade and RNA polymerase cannot bind to this promoter and start transcription. Transcription stops, the operon stops. So this is how the switch is turned off. So let us see the structure of a lac operon. The lactose operon. You have the regulatory region. This whole picture is that of the lac operon system. This is the regulatory region, this region. Regulatory region, and this region is the coding region. Regulatory region has got a repressor protein known as I, and you have its respective promoter PI, and this is the repressor protein I. Then you have a region known as cap site, which is the unwinding site. We will understand what this cap site is. Then you have the actual promoter of the operon, the promoter of lactose operon. Below that is the operator. The operator region is present after that. CAP means catabolite activator protein site. Then you have the structural gene for beta galactosidase, Z, the structural gene for permease, and the structural gene for transacetylase. So all the three Z, Y, A, all the three genes are expressed together. So the structure of the lac operon system essentially consists of a regulatory region, as well as a coding region. So I had explained what are the particular units. PI is the promoter of the lac repressor protein. The promoter is a weak constitutive promoter. That is, it's weak, but it is constitutively, that is through always it is continuously expressed. This I is the lac repressor. It is a DNA binding protein which inhibits the expression of genes coding for proteins involved in the metabolism of lactose in bacteria. These genes are repressed when lactose is not available to the cell. When lactose is not available in the cell, what is the need of metabolizing lactose? What does the beta galactosidase do? It breaks lactose into galactose and glucose. What is the need for all beta galactosidase expression if there is no lactose in the medium? Why waste so much of ATP and energy in making these enzymes when there is no lactose? So switch off. Why put the fan on when there is nobody in the room? It is something like that. If somebody is in the room, then you put the fan off. Otherwise, if you put the fan off, it's the wastage of electricity. So these genes are repressed when lactose is not available to the cell, ensuring that the bacterium only invests energy in the production of machinery necessary for uptake and utilization of lactose when lactose is present. When lactose becomes available, it is converted into allolactose. It's an isomer. So this is the lactose molecule. Presence of beta galact when lactose is present in the medium, presence of beta galactosidase, you have lactose broken down into glucose and galactose, and the lac inducer is also produced. The lac I protein is produced. This is allolactose. It's just an isomer of lactose. See, the bond has just reversed. This is what happens. So major amount is converted into glucose and galactose, but some amount is converted into allolactose. And allolactose inhibits the lac repressor's DNA binding ability. It affects the lac repressor. The lac repressor I, it is a repressor. When it binds to the operator, it represses transcription. But before it binds to the repressor, what happens? So let us look at lactose is absent, repressor is active, operon is off. No lactose in the medium. Lactose is absent in the medium. The lac I or the lac it produces the active repressor. The active repressor goes and binds to this site. If it binds to this site, RNA polymerase from its promoter won't be able to start transcription. No transcription, no lac Z, lac Y, or lac I, lac A. So this operon is shut off. When there is allolactose, which is produced when lactose is converted into allolactose, is present in the media, then this allolactose comes and binds to this repressor, and this repressor becomes inactive. If it becomes inactive, it cannot bind to this operator site. This is free, and so freely the RNA polymerase can transcribe genes necessary for lactose metabolism, that is beta galactosidase, permease, and transacetylase. Now we come to the part of catabolite repression. In the promoter, we found a site. I had drawn a site known as the cap binding site, catabolite activator protein binding site. This cap, and it has got a catabolite activator protein, the cap site, the cap protein. Function of cap protein is it binds to cyclic AMP and forms an active cap-camp complex. This is an active cap-camp complex. Cap-camp complex. So when there is glucose in the media, even when there is lactose in the media, always glucose is the preferred fuel for the cell, preferred fuel. So when there is glucose present in the media, what is the use of lactose metabolism? You don't need lactose metabolism. Rather, it's better to stop. So when there is high glucose, what happens in the media? High glucose, it inactivates adenylate cyclase and ATP is not produced into cyclic AMP. So high glucose means no cyclic AMP. If there is low glucose in the media, then ATP is converted into cyclic AMP. So when there is no glucose in the media, the cyclic AMP levels in the cell is very high. So when cyclic AMP is very high, when cyclic AMP levels is very high in the cell, then this cyclic AMP, it comes and binds to the catabolite activator protein, the cap complex, and it forms the active cap complex. It binds to the cap binding site over here. The binding, this what this does, it stimulates the RNA polymerase for more transcription. RNA polymerase is stimulated. And of course, you have inactive lac repressor present over here. So here lactose is present. Glucose is scarce. So lactose present, glucose is less glucose. If glucose present is less, then cyclic AMP level is high. And lots of lac mRNA is produced. Now when lactose is present, glucose is present. Lactose is present, glucose is present. Lactose present, it blocks this. The lac repressor is blocked. Glucose is present, cyclic AMP level is very low. So this is inactive, it cannot bind, and this also cannot bind. And so very little lac mRNA is synthesized. Very little, but still there is some synthesis takes place. What happens when I have not drawn the situation when lactose is absent, glucose present, this repressor will come and bind over here. Same as what happens in this figure. The repressor will come and bind. So with this, I end the first part of by today's class, the first part of gene expression, that is the lac operon. Next day we will talk about a positive. This is a negative control system. That is the product of the regulator protein. It is as a repressor. If it is an activator, it would have been a positive control. So we will talk about tryptophan operon, which is a positive control system in the next class. So I stop my sharing. Do you people have got any questions? প্রশ্ন আছে? Questions? Any questions, please?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Then I end my class over here. I will tell you when my next class is. I will start with tryptophan operon.